The dude with the best hair in Hollywood, Jeremy Parsons. So good to see you, brother.
Jason, good to see you, man. I can't believe it's been a while, but I love following you and I always appreciate the opportunity to talk.
You love following me. First of all, I'm honored because your career, man, is on fire. We're going to talk about that. But Jeremy, it's been like 4 years since you've been on Unleashed, man.
I can't believe it. So 2020, right? And I only know that because you told me, and I definitely would not have thought it was that long ago. But at this point, doesn't 2020 simultaneously feel like a lifetime ago, but also like just yesterday? I have this weird thing with it all the time when I think about the years and how quickly they've gone.
I think my stepdad says as you get older, the years are like toilet paper. It runs out faster. Some analogy, but I couldn't agree
Yeah.
more. Like it's funny because when you're in your 20s and like your teens, everything seems an eternity away. It takes forever for things to happen. And now that we're a little bit older or somewhat older, it's like, slow down. Please pump the brakes.
And then you throw a global pandemic in there to just kind of make everything feel like a big blur for 4 or 5 years, and then it's even worse, right?
Yeah, I know. How are the kids?
Kids are good. Two little girls in school. One of them's playing tennis. The other one's taekwondo, and she's like could kick my butt probably right now if she wanted to. It's unbelievable. Speaking of things going fast, that I mean, you throw
Yeah.
kids in the mix, and then you
What
just can't believe it.
what I love about watching you and watching you flourish is your love you have for your wife, I mean, you do not shy away from celebrating her, from loving her publicly, from letting people know she's your ride or die. She checks you, she keeps you in point. She's your lover, she's your friend. I mean, it's your romance is like fuck the notebook. We need to have like get you a man that looks at you the way Jeremy Parsons looks at his wife.
Well, I appreciate that. We just had our 17-year anniversary. Can you believe that? Like,
I
who
can't.
who are we? Like, again, like talk about feeling old. I mean, I got married young, but 17 years though, bro. Like that is a long time. But yeah, we've I love her. She's a dietitian. She's just like in her own world doing her own thing, and then what she brings our family. And I mean, you can't help but love her.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, listen, you've had a career that's seen its ups and downs, and you got to have someone who's going to go with you to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to New York, back to Virginia, like someone who can hold you down, Jeremy. That's people go their whole lives wanting that. And I'm not saying you're not grateful, you're absolutely grateful, but it's such a beautiful thing to see it in real time. And just that the love is so mutual. It's not just
Yeah,
like, oh, it's not, there's no lopsidedness. You love
sure.
her just as much as she loves you.
I'll translate what you said to you got to have somebody who can pay the bills when you can't pay the bills.
Yeah, definitely.
And
No,
that's really helpful for
it,
sure.
Preach, brother.
Hey, when the
Preach.
when the when
Amen.
when the lows are real low, mama's got a job.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your career, man. You have been killing it lately. I mean, you're always killing it, but I have enjoyed watching you on KTLA, and I feel like that's a full circle moment for you because you've gone there and have sat next to the greats. I mean, still late Sam Rubin, rest in peace, was and still is an industry institution, and to be able to hold space in that space and carry on that legacy has to feel good.
Well, I'll tell you, it was especially for people in the entertainment business, like the host world, particularly entertainment hosts, entertainment news people. Everybody knew who Sam Rubin was. This is
Yeah.
someone who, for people who don't know, iconic, legendary entertainment anchor on the KTLA 5 morning news, which the show itself and the station is itself an institution. And then he
Right.
was an institution within that 20 plus years as the entertainment anchor. Hollywood knew him, and the audience, particularly in LA, really knew and loved him. So that loss hit hard. I had been fortunate enough years ago to fill in for Sam on KTLA when I worked with him and met his team when I was at Reels Channel. And this is way back.
Back in the
Reels
day.
for REELZ, still around, cable network. It launched as TV about movies, and we all did, there were entertainment news shows and all these movie related shows. And Sam was on board in the mix with all that, had his own show. I met him through that. Anyway, fast forward, a lot of things came together and I was able to fill in for him. And that was over like 10 years ago. Then I moved on to New York. And Sam sort of jokingly always said it was a direct result of me filling in at KTLA that I ended up in New York and got an audition for People Magazine's new entertainment news show. And so Sam always sort of affectionately, shamelessly, and in the funny way that only he could, took credit for like launching me off. They come in here and, we just launch them off into bigger things or whatever. That's kind of how he always put it. And then since he passed, I've been in the mix filling in a rotation of people filling in for him. And it's just truly, there's no filling those shoes. So when you sit there, you kind of can't believe that you're in the seat of Sam Rubin. But it's been so fun. I mean, the team there is great. And, you're in the heart of Hollywood and kind of right there in the epicenter of the pulse of Hollywood. That's the fun. That's kind of the great thing about doing entertainment at KTLA. So
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, it's a dream come true. And you speak about filling the shoes of Sam. Of course, no one will ever be able to do that because he is otherworldly and was just such a just powerhouse in entertainment. But as far as what you bring to the table, Jeremy, and who you are as a talent and the value you always add every award season, be it Golden Globes, Emmys, Oscars, I watch you and maybe one other outlet because I feel like everyone is trying to connect, but you always connect. You're so smooth. And the way you just, it's not like you're trying to be an on-camera personality. You're just chopping it up with these stars. And they open up to you. They reveal, they lean in. And that's a talent in and of itself, but it's also a God-given gift. Do you ever watch yourself back and think like, holy shit, I'm killing this?
I watch myself back, but it's like, oh no, why did I forget? I should have asked that or whatever. I appreciate what you're saying. And the main reason I appreciate it is because that's my goal, right? Like as someone who grew up watching and has always been enamored with the live red carpet shows and sort of that whole vibe. I love when you can just tell a celebrity is at ease with someone and you as a viewer, you just kind of walk away from it thinking what you thought, which was like, I feel like I just almost observed, I was like a third party to a conversation that just happened, not sort of an awkward, stagey question answer. Sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes it's stagey. Sometimes it's weird. But overall, that's my goal is to make it conversational. So I'm glad that you feel that way. And you have to kind of work out. I guess some of it's a natural thing. Like I'm a conversationalist in life. Like I can sit down anywhere and chime up a conversation, I think. And that's anyhow. So thank you for saying that. It's very nice.
Because I watch with the producer's eye. I mean, we do the same thing.
Right.
And so for me, this sounds very assholey, but I'm rarely impressed with people, especially because the bar is so low now with TikTok and all the ways that people are creating content.
Sure.
Like, and people blast me for saying this, but there's a dilution of what we do because we've trained and we've honed these skills and have really clawed our way in a good way to be exceptional. Sure. At what we do. And so it's kind of like you with that elevated sense of experience and training and just existence in an industry that works like no other, that's hyper competitive, all the things, you also cultivate an ethic and a standard that I'm seeing not everywhere, but a lot of places isn't the most honored by this newer generation because the accessibility of people and content and producing content and delivering content is just so instantaneous, it seems like. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's a weird time. Speak to me about a time when there was a lull, because as you know, this industry has really majestic crests, right? Where things are popping and very cavernous valleys where it's just like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
What's happening?
The highs can be very high and then the lows can be very low, right? And it's, especially when the nature of these jobs is that you're sort of we're being an entertainment host and doing red carpets and all these events, you're sort of like the first ring of outsider looking right in to sort of amplify for the audience what it's like there, right? It's almost like you're the first row of fan in a sense with direct access, and then you can tell everybody else through your own platforms of whether it's TV shows or whatever, like, here's what it's like, and here's who they are, And so that's kind of the feel. So, but that means that you're kind of exposed to this, like, oh my God, it's right there. And then, when jobs come through, when shows happen, things that you get to do, like in the past, when, a few years ago, I got to start doing guest appearances on like segments on the Today Show through my job at People and Good Morning America and things like that. And as a kid, it was like those are the shows I watched. Mind blowing. And so those experiences were huge, huge highs. And then, of course, doing the award shows and all that with People, the live shows and all those things I wanted to do. But so back before the People stuff came through in 2012, 2013, my kid was like year and a half, Reels channel job went away. They kind of closed down the whole thing we were doing. And so I ended up in a year or so of sort of daddy daycare, freelance work, which translates to you're unemployed, taking jobs as they come, right? But I was like baby on the front, carrying the baby in the pouch, like every day I was daddy daycare. So it was a total shift. And yeah, there were times where it was just like, is anything going to happen? Right? Like you can sort of feel like you're just sort of screaming out into the void, putting out feelers. Oh, let me contact these people, like, agent, what are they doing? And like, am I auditioning or am I, let me follow up with them. And so you're just in this cycle of having to wake up and say, today I'm doing X, Y, and Z, even though I don't feel like it. And even though it feels like this is just going out into the void. Because what has ended up happening for me time and time again, you put 100 things out into the void and all of a sudden one little thing that you might not have even, if you had thought a second longer, you wouldn't have shot the email. And when you know it, someone replies and it's like, actually, you know what? Let me talk to somebody. I think that we could use you for this or whatever. And boom, that's how the next things have happened for me. Almost every time there's been some version of that where it's been, relationships help, obviously, but there's got to be a level of stick with it. Keep going back, keep putting out the feelers, keep letting people know what you're doing. And anyhow, but yeah, there from an identity perspective, it's one of the great challenges is finding meaning and confidence and a sense of stability beyond the work. Right. And even if I have no job, I still have value as a person. Now, lucky for me and fortunate for me, I have a family and I have kids and I have a wife and things that kind of give me, they help sustain me. Right. Having faith in things greater than yourself are sustainable.
Yeah. If you weren't the Jeremy Parsons we love on TV, what is your life?
What would you be doing? I have asked myself that so many times.
Like, what would you be doing? What would Jeremy do for a career? What would float your boat?
Do you know what? In this phase of life, what I just really want is I wish I were just independently wealthy.
Same.
Who are these people? Nothing, when I first moved to LA, there was this sensation, and it's a kind of a common thing in LA. You drive around on any weekday in the middle of the day, and the restaurants are just full. It's like,
odd road.
Who are these people? What are they doing? What are they? How are they? Are they working? How are they money?
One better. Starbucks in Aventura, Florida. You see like a litany of these like Boca Raton, Palm Beach weirdos with Lamborghinis, Mercedes, Cullinans, just drinking coffee and smoking. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, if I could just have generational wealth, that's what I wish. No, I don't know what I would be doing. Honestly, I'd probably be selling cars. Who knows? I'd probably be doing You know what? I double majored. I did psychology in college. I did psychology and communications and broadcast and stuff. And I always sort of joked that like if this all fell through, that I would go back to school and pursue counseling or something like that. I could actually see myself. I actually really love psychology, and I love, and I think it plays perfectly into the nature of the work that we're talking about here. Is relating to people, kind of getting people to open up and talking about things that a lot of times have no consequence, but sometimes digging a little deeper. That's all tied into it, and so psychology is appealing in that way. So maybe I'd be in that world a little bit more. Maybe I still will. Who knows?